No. You rise to the occasion. Experience comes with age, and I've been hearing a lot about age, you know.
You get to check that off my list, and I knew this was going to be a big fight. The build-up for this is huge. The press conferences are entertaining. It's a spectacle.
With just 17 days left until the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul showdown, the tension keeps rising as both fighters push their limits. Training is now at its peak, with Joshua sharpening his power, timing, and footwork while Jake drives himself through intense conditioning to keep up. Every session matters at this stage, and the atmosphere around the fight grows heavier as the countdown continues. Anthony Joshua's training camp ahead of his fight with Jake Paul is already in full swing, and it's a major shift for him this time as he changed his training camp. Joshua hasn't fought since his knockout loss in September 2024 and subsequent elbow surgery. So, this camp carries extra urgency.
Form, but I'm going to knock him out respectfully, and you know, we can hug and kiss afterwards. Specifically kiss.
He's reportedly doing conditioning, technique drills, footwork, and ringcraft training with Usyk's coaches, aiming to enter the bout sharper and smarter. Joshua admits the change is significant. Training under a different camp has pushed him harder than before, both physically and mentally. He's using this time to regenerate his confidence, re-hone his strengths, and prepare seriously for what could be a high-stakes comeback. Anthony Joshua begins his mornings with intense ice baths to strengthen his body and speed up recovery during camp. The freezing water helps reduce inflammation, keeps his muscles fresh, and boosts his mental resilience. Joshua believes these cold therapy sessions sharpen his focus and prepare him for heavy training later in the day. It's a strict routine that demonstrates his commitment to staying strong and fully prepared for the upcoming fight.
Simon, I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Alexander Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he'd come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition job.
Yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helene, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the boxrec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where, what you've just said then, Spencer, like, match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick, because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to get out and get back to winning ways, is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8-rounders. Yeah. He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he? Yeah. He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been...
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Alexander Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert...
Anthony Joshua immerses himself in a training environment known for discipline, precision, and constant refinement. Surrounded by experienced coaches who built their methods around sharp technique and strategic awareness, he tackles each session with purpose. His drills focus on tightening his offensive bursts while building a defense that reacts without hesitation. Coaches monitor his rhythm, foot placement, and punch variation, pushing him to evolve beyond his previous habits. Observers watching from ringside notice how he responds to every correction with seriousness. Instead of relying on natural strength, he works to enhance his understanding of angles, distance, and counters. His movement becomes more deliberate as he shifts between defensive slips and sharp counter-punch combinations. The atmosphere within this camp pushes him to grow, not just physically, but mentally, sharpening his instincts for the unpredictable moments that define heavyweight boxing. Eddie Hearn approaches this matchup with a sense of gravity, knowing exactly how much rests on Joshua's performance.
That you and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, oh, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. I mean, what was it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
No, I mean, I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240. And it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before. So all of a sudden, he's tried. He'd been in camp for, 2 or 3 weeks, and he's probably sitting at, 260.
He acknowledges that the upcoming fight carries consequences far beyond bragging rights. For Joshua, the result could influence the direction of the latter half of his career. Hearn does not hide the truth. Defeat in a fight like this would raise serious questions about whether it is worth continuing. Yet, despite the heavy implications, Hearn's confidence in Joshua remains firm. He believes that the work Joshua has invested in the past months has rebuilt his discipline and sharpened his focus. From conditioning to sparring routines, Joshua has treated every element of preparation as if a championship title were at stake. Hearn emphasizes that this mindset is what keeps him convinced Joshua will rise to the occasion. This sense of belief is strengthened by reports from inside training sessions which describe a fighter performing with composure and renewed drive.
These way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okoli. Okoli is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okoli. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And, I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul, top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okoli. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okoli, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I got to research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence...
Even with pressure surrounding him, Joshua continues to push forward, embracing the challenge rather than avoiding it. One reason Joshua's confidence remains high lies in the level of sparring partners he has welcomed into camp. Footage shows him trading punches with high-level heavyweights who bring different strengths into the ring. Jared Anderson, known for his explosive power and relentless pace, forces Joshua to stay sharp defensively. Anderson tests every reaction and punishes slow movements.
A problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson, but we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime, where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua, because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that on there? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect them to?
Demanding that Joshua stay alert from the opening bell to the last second of each round. Frank Sanchez adds an entirely different challenge with his technical style. His ability to glide around the ring, slip punches, and maintain balance pushes Joshua to adapt. Against Sanchez, Joshua must think quickly, adjust his footwork, and approach exchanges more strategically. These sparring sessions are not merely physical tests. They expose Joshua to situations that mimic elite-level competition. Each fighter brings pressure that Jake Paul has never faced. The diversity in styles helps Joshua shape a complete approach, one built on timing, accuracy, and the ability to shift tactics instantly.